Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Bert F. Macklin.
Yeah, and I'm Dorian. So, and welcome to You Heard with Nerds, and all that good stuff here.
Yeah, we got some nerd news for you guys.
We do, yeah. We
I
most
wonder what we're
certainly do.
talking about.
Well, Brett or Macklin, as I should say, we should be talking about E3, and more E3. But
Wow, what a shocker!
What a shocker! But on a side note, for those of you who don't give a bag of butts about video games, we are going to be talking about some movie stuff as well. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of Loki and a couple other things in there. But we're going to dive right into it. We're going to talk about E3. If you don't want to hear about it, skip ahead. It's all good. Our feelings won't get hurt too much. So we're going to go into Starfield. So this game is coming from the guys who make your Skyrims, who make your Fallout games. This is essentially the next franchise they're adding into their their portfolio, so to speak. So basically, it's a space game. It's been described as Skyrim in space, Han Solo simulator. It's going to become. There was no gameplay shown. It was just kind of a teaser of cinematic teaser about what the game's going to be looking like, and it looks like it's kind of almost like early space exploration for the most part. It kind of seems to me, at least. So it's going to be coming out 11/11/22, and it will be coming to Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and PC only. So this is the first. This is first blood right here of the whole Bethesda and Microsoft deal, because when Bethesda got bought out by Microsoft, I think it was last summer or somewhere around there. There was a lot of speculation or questions about what is going to be going on with essentially like some of these big games here. Are they going to remain exclusive, or is Xbox is going to be kind of sharing is caring in terms of the video game industry? But turns out it might not be that way, and so that means that Elder Scrolls 6 could very well be an Xbox exclusive. So yeah.
And this is disheartening on a lot of levels, because I think when they initially came out and said, they're like, hey, we don't have any, they were kind of, I don't know, hedging their bets, I guess, of like, hey, we're not going to be doing too many exclusives, which was basically a bunch of bullcrap, because their first game, basically they announced since the merger, is an Xbox exclusive / Microsoft, if I guess is the better way to put it, because it's PC. One can only imagine that Elder Scrolls is now going to only be on Xbox, or at the very least a later release on PlayStation and Switch Pro, which we'll get to later.
We'll get to that whole thing later, but yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it being like one of those things where it's a timed exclusivity thing, because
there was so much of that last generation. There was so much of that.
There was, yeah. Well, yeah, because especially on Xbox's side, because you had things like Rise of the Tomb Raider be an Xbox exclusive. Like starting out, you had Cuphead, you had some of their other games be solely Xbox exclusive, and then a year later goes by and says, "Oh yeah, this is coming on Switch now." So, yeah, I think it's a. I think it's it might be a sign of things to come, because I mean the first time we heard about like what the exclusivity factor between Bethesda and Microsoft was going to be looking like, it sounded a lot more like it was going to be a limited release type thing. But I think probably what they're doing is they might actually have a PS5 version planned, but they're not going to announce it just quite yet, because they want more people to come to Xbox first here. Because if you're going to say, hey, this is also coming to PS5, it's just coming a year later, then people will be like, okay, well, then I'll just wait instead of like going out and buying an Xbox. so to speak. So, but talking about the game itself,
Yeah.
I didn't really see anything that really got me excited for this game, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just a cinematic teaser, no gameplay shown, just kind of gave you an idea of like what the tone or the feel like, of what kind of slice of sci-fi we're going to be getting out of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be they're going to need to show me a little bit more before I start getting excited for this game and running out and buying an Xbox or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this game will make me buy anything, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are huge Elder Scrolls fans and would go out tomorrow and buy an Xbox for that game if it's an
Yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there were some other games revealed, obviously, at E3. One of them being Guardians of the Galaxy. To me, this was kind of like an interesting move. I don't know. It was like one of the big ones that I saw, and I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, I don't really care. It's another superhero game.
Yeah.
But it's brought to us by Square Enix and Eidos Montreal, which are the Deus Ex guys who made that game. Basically, it looks like you can play as Star Lord, and it's a RP. Not I don't know if it's RPG is the right word, but basically, there's
It,
things you can do that
it's an
alter
action
how the
game.
game is. Yeah, there's things you can do that impact the story. Essentially, it comes
Yeah.
out this year. If that's any consolation for you, it comes out October 26th. Yeah, I'm just kind of whatever about this game. Honestly, I saw the trailer or whatever, and I was just like, I first thought it was an add-on to what
Oh,
Avengers,
Avengers.
basically. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was, but it's a whole different game. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about
Yeah.
it?
Well, one thing I forgot to include in the show notes. This is also coming out on Switch, which I was kind of surprised by too here.
That's
But
how I saw it during the Switch or Nintendo, I should say, conference.
yeah, gotcha. So, um, so I mean, I mean, I think it might. I think it's like for one, possibly a good idea that you're only playing as Peter Quill. That way, you're just refining one character, and instead of like trying to have like, like mediocre versions of like the other characters you're playing in, just like a watered down version or something like that. Because I think that's kind of how like most of the Avengers play in the Avengers game is like they're just kind of watered down versions of like what they could have been if as opposed to like a solely solely designed game around it. So I mean, but you're essentially it seems like a very soft third person shooter with like you're using your rocket boots to like move around, like fly and dodge, like not like fly hundreds of feet up in the air, but you're just kind of like hovering above the ground, so to speak. But I mean, honestly, this one I could see this one going either way. I mean, it didn't have like a super impressive showing. I watched the trailer, I watched the demo. It looked okay by and large. I mean, some of the voice acting didn't quite do it for me. Just Drax didn't really sound like how I would imagine him, nor did Rocket. So combat could be really cool, or I also get that feeling that it could be very flashy but super basic, kind of like how Final Fantasy 15's
Yeah.
combat was here. Um, so it seems like
Yep.
it could be another Avenger situation where it's like just kind of a mediocre superhero action game that just doesn't quite hit the mark, but we'll see.
Yeah. Something else that's interesting that came out is Final Fantasy 1 through 6 remaster. Now hold your horses.
Yep.
Hold your horses. Because there's something important attached to this at the end of our news. Not the whole end, but this little but it's going to be called the Pixel Remaster. It's going to have all mainline 2D Final Fantasy games, so 1 through 6.
Yep. So
Coming
basically,
to Oh, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
Basically, these are the ones that came out on the NES, Famicom, Super Famicom, and the Super Nintendo here. So some pretty big ones for as
Yeah.
far as like Final Fantasy history. So
So these will be coming to Steam and mobile only.
yeah,
So I kind of understand this. At the same time, I don't. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't port it over to everything else and make more money. But if they want people to just buy it on their phones, cool. I don't know what why it is the way it is, but why isn't this on Nintendo Switch? That's kind of, I think, both of our proclamations is like, why? That just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, unlike you, I don't understand this move at all whatsoever. I mean, here's the thing: if like you wanted to put this on Steam and mobile, that's fine, but you need to put it on like a console, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, get it on the Switch, get it on PlayStation, get it on Xbox here, because I mean that's how the majority of people that really are into these games probably want to play it here. Like if this was on Switch, yeah, I would
Hmm.
definitely be buying this just because I definitely like the the Super Nintendo era of Final Fantasy. And it would be something I wouldn't mind going back and revisiting. And while we're on the topic of like things that don't make sense, how is this now just happening out of all times here? I feel like this is something that probably should have happened like a while ago here, as opposed to like all of a sudden now we're just finally getting this, collection that probably should have been, you know, years and years like we should already be like we should have already had this is what I'm getting at here. And yeah, why on God's green earth would you finally put out this collection and just make it on Steam and mobile? I mean, people who Final Fantasy people who only have like a mobile device or just play on Steam, congratulations, you won the lottery here. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the oddest things I've ever seen for a collection of this size to just be put on
Yeah.
such a limited capacity, I guess, or like in such a weird way. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, it is a weird choice because you think it's 1 through 6, so this isn't going to be. So they're either going to release them individually. They're not going to do a bundle on mobile because I've never seen that before. They do like 6 games on one app, basically.
Yeah.
On Steam, it could be that way, but I think maybe they're looking at it from maybe we can make more money putting it out one game at a time on mobile. I don't know. I could see this eventually coming to console. I think they'd be stupid not to. But if they're trying to
Yeah.
really push the mobile market and they're trying to, maybe they have some more games coming out on mobile as well, and these are kind of like, hey, these games are just on mobile, check them out. I don't know why you would do that, but I understand if they're trying to market it that way, like why at least at the start
Yeah.
it's only going to be on those 2 things. But that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. I could
oh, go
see.
ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I I could see this eventually coming to console, but I mean, it's just again one of those things where I'm just really surprised. Like,
It's weird.
okay, yeah, this is how we're gonna lead out with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Halo Infinite had a teaser for the campaign. I didn't see this though, actually. But the show caused or case it showcased basically more of a multiplayer, like it was a multiplayer,
Yeah.
uh, which is still free to play.
Hmm.
Like you don't have to have the Xbox, whatever they're calling it these days. I don't even know at this point
The game.
what. Well, so can you play? No, I mean like online. Basically, you have to have the online.
Oh, like
Uh,
the Xbox Live or whatever
y-
it's called nowadays.
yeah, I don't know what it's called.
I don't know about that. I all I know is you don't have to own Halo Infinite or like buy it for $70 in order to play the multiplayer. That's all I know.
Okay, that's pretty cool that they have that option. I can see them doing the loot like a loot crate type thing for skins at that point. Then, kind of
Right.
like a lot of the other shooters do.
Yeah, Battle
This
Pass
is
or
coming.
something.
Yeah, this is coming out this holiday, 2021.
Hmm.
Uh, we didn't see too much from what I understand. Like it was very bleak, and so for this game to
Right.
come out in 4 to 5 months max, basically 4 months, probably. from the time of this recording, so you're probably looking at October release, maybe November.
Yeah.
It's interesting we haven't seen it very much to now.
Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing with Halo Infinite, this was more or less showcasing multiplayer by and large. I mean, they showed like a little cinematic cutscene from the campaign where Master Chief is going through like a zero gravity area in space or something like that, and doing Master Chief stuff, and that's that's fine. But I was really surprised they didn't show more of the single player campaign, seeing how that was a point of contention for a lot of people last year when they showed it off.
Yeah,
People were
they're like,
not, yeah,
no,
people were not
not
about the graphics whatsoever here. And I figured like this was
yeah.
going to be them to
It
say,
was rough.
this was going to be their time to say, okay, we're going to shut you up right now here. We're going to basically show that area again and we're going to blow the socks off of you. And they just didn't. And I mean, granted, from what we saw, I mean, the graphics do look better a little bit. I mean, I didn't like break it down frame by frame, but it definitely seemed like they added a little bit more polish, but I didn't see like a night and day difference between what they showed. And I felt like this was the opportunity for them to do that, and they didn't. And it's surprising. Surprising. So,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. Diablo 2 is getting a remake. Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out September 23rd of this year, so just a few months away, available on all platforms. This is one of my favorite games growing up. I played the crap out of this on PC. I'm excited for it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's I I've only played Diablo 3, so I don't have much nostalgia for this game, but I mean just based on what I'm seeing, it looks like they're keeping true to like the art style. They're just they're just kind of sanding down the corners on like what that game used to look like and making it look, more modern day. But if it's a crossplay game, I might consider picking it up here just because it's coming out on everything. It's gonna have online play, I'm assuming. Why wouldn't this be a crossplay game, in my opinion? But who knows?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you. All right, into the big news for
yeah,
us at least.
for us.
Nintendo had their direct, their E3 direct, and they had some
So
games to announce. So let's talk
they
about
did.
them.
Yeah, so let's get right
Yeah.
into it.
So Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope. This is a I don't know if it's a direct sequel. I'm guessing it is to
Yeah,
Mario Rabbids from a few years back. So gonna be going into space this time. You're gonna be able to do more than just shoot guns in battle. So that's interesting.
yeah.
Um, and it looked like the movement was a little bit different. It's a little bit more free moving
Yeah,
instead of just blocks, basically. Kind of like what's
Fire
the game I'm
Emblem.
thinking of? Yeah, like Fire Emblem, where it's like a square. It looks like it's gonna be a little bit more free, which is fine. I'm just wondering if that'll take away from the tactics side of it. This game isn't coming out till next year, though. This was a surprise to me because seeing this game, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna come out for holiday." Like it's not a
Yeah,
banger, like, but it's a game that kids will want to play or adults. Like I liked the first
yeah,
one quite a bit.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I own this game. I have yet to like actually really sink my teeth into it yet. Here, I just only played like maybe the first 5 minutes of it or something like that. But I definitely need to actually take the time to play this one. But before I even think about picking up this one, but I gotta say, like Sparks of Hope as like your subtitle. I feel like that's something that like that's like a little dramatic for like a Mario
Yeah.
a Mario game about like these like minion rabid people here or whatever you want to call them. But I feel like this is something
Yeah.
that you would attach to like Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts for like a subtitle. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Advance Wars 1 and 2
Mhm.
reboot is getting a whole new game built from the ground up, it looks like. So these games were originally on Game Boy Advance, but they're going to be coming
Yeah.
out on Switch now. So it's a strategy game essentially where you have to capture a city, build a military, troops, all that good stuff. So in my head, I'm thinking very similar to Wargroove or Fire
Well,
Emblem, stuff like that.
it's funny you mentioned that because Wargroove essentially used Advanced Wars as an inspiration for making their game here. They were basically like, okay, there hasn't been an Advanced Wars game in a while, so we'll just make one here, and that's how by and large how Wargroove came to be.
Well, yeah, and that totally makes sense to me,
Yeah,
because I played Wargroove, and while I was watching the trailer, I'm like, this looks a lot like Wargroove.
yeah,
Uh, so this is coming out this December. So for those of you who were a big fan of this game, don't worry, graphics are gonna be completely redone in 3D. And so I never played this on the Game Boy Advance. I've never heard of this game. I mean, I've heard of it, but I didn't know that
okay,
this was even on the table as far as coming out as a reboot. So
yeah.
I didn't know anyone playing it growing up. So,
Oh, really?
but
Okay.
yeah, I didn't have any friends who had this game, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you know, if it's like Wargroove, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
That's a pretty solid game
yeah. I mean, it's. I think if you like Wargroove, you will probably like this game. Now here's the thing: I didn't really play much of the advanced games when they came out. I played a lot of the one on DS, Dual Strike, which you know
Okay,
is um, considered like I think among like Advanced Wars fans to be the definitive Advanced Wars. But I'll probably check it out at some point. Just kind of see what I missed out on. But I'm really hoping that this is kind of paving the way for a modern day sequel, just because it's been so long since like there has been anything Advanced Wars, and people have been wanting something new from this franchise for a while. So this might be pointing to something
for
good.
sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's kind of where Nintendo went to the pooper, in my opinion, not
Oh,
Dorian's.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
with this next game, so Mario Party Superstar. Okay,
Yeah.
so I love the concept of this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So they're basically remaking old maps from the Nintendo 64 Mario parties, which are the best ones, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I agree.
Um, so going to be using 5 Nintendo 64 party boards, 100 mini games across the whole series. We'll have online play and some features from Super Mario Party.
Yeah.
So this is coming out this October.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts before I poop on them?
Oh gosh. All right. Well, let's we'll go with the positive route. So here's the thing. Five boards don't sound like a whole lot. I think they should have at least had like maybe 7, somewhere around there. And I would have liked more mini games by and large, but that being said, I mean, I am actually into this game. I mean, I have a soft spot for N64 Mario Party games, and I also have thought for a while that Nintendo should do a greatest hits Mario Party where they take like some of the best stuff, best mini games, and just put it in one bundle. Now, so this is probably going to be something I will be picking up. Matter of fact, I'm sure I will be. Now, you got some dissenting opinions on that, so
Yeah. Basically, this game is total BS and should have been DLC for the last game.
yeah,
We only had 5 boards the last game,
yeah,
and to me, that was like, and they were all super similar. Like it was just like a circle, basically. Um, there wasn't any craziness that happened, which these boards will be a lot more crazy in my opinion.
yeah.
If there's some of the boards that we saw, I don't know if we saw all of them or just most of them for the
We saw
presentation. I
we
think
saw
we saw
3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm excited for those boards, but they should not be their own $60 game.
yeah,
That's a little ridiculous to me, unless the way they could get me on this game, they release 5 and then they do a DLC pack with another 5 boards, or do like one board every few months for the next 2 years or what. I don't know,
yeah,
because Yeah, it's just when did the last Mario Party come out? Did it came out 3 years ago?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 2018,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. I
Yeah,
want to
and
say.
I kinda get it, but at the same time, like, we have had 2 Mario Parties on this console and
Yeah.
not, a new, Mario Kart game. That's kinda interesting to me.
Y-
You know, like, yes and no, I get it, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it should have been just DLC. It should not be its own game.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. I definitely think that, in a perfect world, Super Mario Party would have just had this as DLC. But I think one of the things that one of the reasons why it's not is because they're kind of playing off of the N64 rules in terms of like how these boards work and operate. So
Right.
like
Yeah.
items, spaces, uh, you know,
Your dice.
yeah, different dice, like, versus like how Super Mario Party, you had like, the partner system, you had like everybody who had their own individual dice that you could choose from. So I think they were like,
Yeah.
okay, we want to, these things are kind of different enough that it warrants its own game. That's how I see it here.
Yeah, I'm just basically more excited for the new Mario Golf game, so,
Yeah, I mean, which honestly
yeah.
does not look bad at all here. I'm actually
No.
kind of interested in that one.
Yeah. Let's talk about a game neither of us care about. WarioWare. Get it together. Uh,
Get it,
so basically, you
literally get it together,
literally,
WarioWare.
yeah. You can play micro games, but basically now you can choose different characters that will change how you play the micro games. Two people can now play the same micro game at the same time, coming out September 10th, 2021.
Yeah.
And this is a hard pass for me. I'm not even going to entertain the idea of playing this game.
So, did you ever play the one WarioWare on GameCube by chance at all? Like,
Not on GameCube, no.
okay, I still have that. We might have to have a game night at some point and play that. But that was a lot of fun here. Like, I really liked how they did things there, and I've been kind of waiting for WarioWare to actually come around and do something similar to, like, how they did it on the GameCube. 4 players, tons of micro games, a lot of fun uh party game modes and stuff like that. But they just haven't here. And I mean, right, and what they showed, I just haven't seen anything that really makes me say, yes, I want to buy this game. This is going to be a great party game to have people over and play it and all that stuff. But that's not where we're at with this game, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer because I was really hoping that this was going to be more of a banger than just having different characters and playing the same micro game at the same time. It just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. Another game that doesn't do it for me, Super Monkey Ball, Mania. I was gonna say Banana Mania.
Yeah,
That's probably a better title.
yeah,
But basically a remaster of Monkey Ball 1 and 2 and Deluxe, along with all the original multiplayer mini games. This comes out this October 5th.
yeah.
So another hard pass for me. I don't care about this franchise at all.
Really? Okay, you never played this on the GameCube?
I think I played it. I just didn't like it.
Okay, I mean,
I
I
didn't
I
own
re-
it. I think I rented it a couple times.
I rented it a couple times too, and like I really like the mini games on it, but you know, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I might consider picking it up. It depends on how many people uh like would be willing to play it, like at just a gathering over at my house type of thing. Here is what it's going to depend on, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, you guys remember that Smash character we got not too long ago that nobody cared about?
yeah,
Well, we got another one. So Tekken comes to Smash. Uh, yeah, I don't know how to say his name. Kazuya
Kazuya, yeah,
from the famous fighting game series Tekken will become the next DLC character in Super Smash Bros.
yeah,
Now, he's going to fight really similar to a couple people we know that are
yeah,
fighters, Ryu, Ken, Terry Bogard. Like,
button
why?
inputs, yeah,
Why?
but
So he's going to have a Super Saiyan type mode where he becomes like like his powered up version, which is like a devil Jin. And they're gonna have an in depth presentation June 28th.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but I don't know. Are we in D tier characters now for Super Smash Bros. Characters? 'Cause I feel like just don't make any more characters if nobody's gonna care about them.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I will fully admit this is not something I was really hoping for. I mean, I get it. Tekken used to be pretty big back in the day. It used to be one of the first 3D fighting games that came out of it. And I mean, they're still making sequels, but I mean, it's
Yeah,
become
yeah,
more, but it's become more niche as opposed to like, full on, like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat brand recognition for the most part here. But I mean, here's the thing: it's like the fact that the reason why this stings, uh, as much as it does, at least for me, is because we don't know if we're going to be getting more fighters at some point. Because
no,
right,
yeah,
we have one more fighter to be announced, and as far as we know, that's going to be it. So at this point in time, it's like, okay, if we had like, say 5 more fighters on the way, 10 more fighters on the way, sure, why not give a slot up to Tekken? I mean, makes sense. Fighting game, used to be big. Not as big as it once was, but but the fact that we only have one more character left, uh it's kind of a letdown. And I mean, at least it makes more sense than like the last one we got, like Pyra and Mithra, because this one, I'm like, okay, yeah, fighting game, and used to be big or whatever. Fine, whatever. I mean, not super exciting in my opinion, but at least it makes sense. Whereas the last one, I just didn't get it.
yeah. Yeah, for me, it's like come on, like there's still plenty of good characters to pick from among many different franchises, and you
Yeah,
kind of pick one where we already got basically 3 of this character in the game.
yeah.
So to me, it was like pick someone different. Like I'm a huge fanboy of Hades, obviously. Grab Zagreus, throw him in there. He could translate very well into a fighting game like this.
He could, he
You know,
could. Yeah, I
but
mean,
something like that is what I'm saying. Like actually try to surprise us with something that's like, whoa, okay, I did not expect that.
yeah,
Like that was just someone who popped in my head right now. But something like that where it's going to create a unique character with different types of fighting than we've
yeah.
seen before. At this point, I don't know who. Like, do you have any ideas of who could be the last character? And do they have to be a big character? I think it's
You
the
know,
last character for this console, probably. You
we
know,
said we said that about the last Fighters Pass, and we got Byleth here. Which, I mean, granted, here's the thing: I like playing as Byleth, but in terms of like a big announcement character, not very hype. But that being said, I mean,
I mean, for us, it was because both you and I played the new Fire Emblem game and liked it a lot.
sure. And I mean, again, like I mean, Fire Emblem Three Houses, the year it came out, I think that was like my favorite game of the year, and I actually play Byleth on Smash, pretty regularly. But I mean, just as far as an announcement goes, or like in terms of like a new character, it
Yeah,
wasn't like super exciting, especially seeing how we got like a lot of Fire Emblem characters already.
you think,
But but
you think
in
it's
terms,
Crash Bandicoot?
I mean, that would be a pretty decent
That could be a big
character.
one.
I mean, I think I'm still like, here's the thing. I'm not a Halo guy, but if they put Master Chief in
Yeah,
Smash, that would blow my mind just
that would be
based
sweet.
on like how crazy that would be. Just because I mean, Nintendo and Microsoft have seemed to have like a pretty decent relationship where they're willing to like, you know, have they did crossplay before crossplay was a major thing across like all the
A
platforms.
thing. Yeah,
They
yeah,
also they've been willing to let like some of their indie games go over to Switch and all that. So it's a and we got Banjo Kazooie and Steve from Minecraft, which are both owned by Microsoft nowadays. So I think it's I think it's a possibility that they do Master Chief. Possibly. I mean, I think if you were going to do that, that has to be the grand finale of all the characters and all that. Which at this point, it sounds like it could that's what it could be. But we will
Yeah.
see. We will see.
How do how do we live in a world though where we get Kazuya from Tekken and we still don't have Goku in this freaking game?
Goku is
Um,
never gonna show up. Don't be like that. My gosh, not like don't make me lose all the respect I have for you by saying something like that.
Goku should be in this game,
Well, then
but he's not.
let's just put
All right.
everybody in it. Like let's put Batman in it. Let's
I
put
mean that everybody's here.
let
Yeah,
let's
I would play as
let
Batman.
let's put George W. Bush in it. Let's put that one extra guy from like Star Wars that has that iconic scream or something like that. Let's put Baby Yoda. Let's just put all the people in it.
His name is Grogu. Okay. Well, this next game grabbed my attention, and I think it grabbed yours as well. Yours
Oh,
more than mine. I'm not a huge Metroid guy. This is not Metroid Prime 4. We're not that basically didn't get talked about.
I mean
Other than they're working hard on it.
yep.
Um, so this is Metroid Dread. This is the rumored 2D platformer, brand new game that will be coming out fairly soon. So it's a new, like I said, new original 2D Metroid game coming to Nintendo Switch. So this is the first one in almost 20 years,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
crazy. So, I didn't know this statistic next, but Metroid Dread was originally announced in 2005.
Yeah. Yeah. It was supposed to be
17,
oh
17 years ago,
yeah. I mean it was
almost
almost yeah.
16 years ago.
It was originally supposed to be a DS game, but I think I think it got scrapped for like the Metroid Prime Hunters game that came out on there, and it just never took off after that here, and then until now, it's it's fine. It's finally
Yeah,
happening.
and this is made by the guys who did Samus Returns for 3DS, Mercury Steam. So there's gonna be new power ups, new melee features from Samus Returns, and that all that stuff's kind of coming back. I got
Yeah.
to see. I watched the treehouse on this. Excuse
Mm-hmm.
me. Looks sweet. The aiming you can do and all that stuff. Kind of the unique abilities you have. I didn't play Samus's Returns for the 3DS, so for
Yeah.
me, all this was new.
Gotcha.
But throughout the game, you're gonna be hunted by robots called Emmys. Is that what they're calling them?
Yeah. Yeah. Emmys. Yeah.
EMMIs. And so, the standard weapons will not work. So you're gonna have to, I'm guessing, find power ups,
Yeah.
or just try to figure out a different way to destroy them.
Yeah.
So, and chronologically, it's gonna be the furthest game in the series, and this comes out October 8th, 2021. So I'm going to say something later, and this game is excluded from that, basically,
Yeah.
Uh, but this is a big thing, I think, for Nintendo. This is what I think a lot of people are like, where's all the big games? This is a big game
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, not big enough for Nintendo to make a huge wave in E3. Great that we were going to get this. I think it
Yeah.
looks really solid, and I'll probably get it.
Yeah.
Loved all the gameplay we got to see. It looks super smooth, super cool. The boss
Yeah.
fights look awesome. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I Here's the thing. I've been a Metroid fan for a while now. I've played pretty much almost all the games. And the thing is, being a Metroid fan, there's a lot of times you get snubbed by Nintendo here. We have, um, there have been times where it's been like a long dry season before we ever got like, a new good Metroid game here. And now, we got Prime 4 on the way, which, who knows when that comes out. Like maybe I'll be on the PlayStation 7 or something like that. Who knows? But um but but that being said, the fact that we're getting this game kind of as like, hey, we know you're excited about Metroid Prime 4, but here's something to tide you over until then is absolutely great. And the fact that it's coming out this
Yeah,
year, is fantastic. Gameplay,
that was
like
crazy to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, the gameplay, like you said, very fluid, very smooth. I really like how they're essentially taking what they did with Samus Returns, and they're just like tuning it up more or less here. I mean, I do wish, from what we saw, graphics were a little bit more polished. Like I felt like they could have add, a little bit more detail to it, but I'm not going to get too hung up on that. I'm just excited that this game exists. It's happening. It's coming out, and you know, I'm all about it. All about it. I mean, this is probably moved up to my most anticipated game of the year.
yeah, I think that's super fair with what we saw. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next up, Breath of the Wild 2. Okay, so we got new gameplay teaser. So now basically you're going to be exploring Hyrule skies, which is very interesting considering we're getting a game that was a huge part of it, right? So Skyward Sword is coming out in a few weeks,
Yeah.
and basically those are the vibes I were getting because basically when they dropped the trailer, like Link's free falling from the sky. There's a
Yeah.
scene, a super cool scene where he's free falling, and so I'm like, okay, what's going on here? That's kind of my thought process as I was saying this. I was like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so basically, there's a scene the what is it called, the darkness stuff? I can't remember.
Oh,
Um,
the Malice.
Malice, yes.
The Calamity Malice, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, so
Something.
basically it gets on Link's arm and he loses his arm and has to have a new bionic arm that looks like the Sheikah Slate may have been part of creating. So he's got this new I don't know, it's not robotic, but this new
It's
like arm
like
that has
runic or
abilities in it
something like
basically.
that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, exactly.
magic
Looks
arm, magic
looks
arm.
dope. The
Yeah.
design on it is dope.
Yeah.
But basically he has a new arm and it's going to be the Sheikah Slate for this game. Time reversal seems to be one of the big powers that we saw in the trailer. So
Yeah.
essentially, he stopped a boulder from rolling and then shot it all the way back at the enemies.
Yeah.
Super cool. And then there's some other ones that you could. There are some other powers that we got to see. You can like jump and phase through stuff. Like it looked like, I don't know if it was gravity, and then you just go through like just solid matter. Like that's what we saw. We'll see how it actually plays in the game.
Right.
But basically, we're also seeing new enemies and variations of enemies that we saw in the old game,
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 1. And so, but yeah, super interesting. You got the Stone Talus outpost being one of them. You see it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Basically, there's like these uh,
Bokoblins.
bokoblins on top of this thing, and then the stone dude stands up basically, and they're on top of him. Super
Yeah.
cool. You get a flamethrower type weapon. It looks like a dragon head. Your arm turns
Yeah.
into a dragon head.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't think it's a power from it like your arm because it's on the other hand
Oh,
that the
was it on
arm
the
is on.
opposite hand?
Yeah, it was on the opposite
Okay,
hand. So I think it's just like a weapon
gotcha.
you can find out in the world here.
That's pretty dope. Um, but yeah, so it seems like there's gonna be these huge, giant, like skyloft, but even bigger
Yeah.
land masses hovering in the air, uh, and so pretty high up too. So we'll figure out how we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
But it takes what we loved about the first game and I think makes it better just from this trailer alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the old map or how the old like look of the game, because for Breath of the Wild it was very open game, but there wasn't a lot going on all the time.
Right.
Um, and so I'm interested to see if this mitigates that and there's a little bit more people to fight, people to talk to because of all this other stuff going on. No official title for the game yet, but this is coming out in 2022.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, biggest disappointment from Nintendo's E3. personally.
Okay, so when you say biggest disappointment, it's not from what they showed. It's the fact
No,
that it's
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 not
a,
coming out this year.
it's not coming out this year. Okay, that I
Yeah,
agree. I that makes sense.
because
That makes
in my opinion, this game had to come out this year for Nintendo to have a good year. In my opinion,
yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. It's the biggest disappointment. Not that we got this news, but that it's not coming out this year.
Yeah, well, I
That
mean,
along with our next bit of news.
yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing: 2022 is shaping up to be a hell of a year for games. Like, we
Yeah,
got the next God of War coming out um, in 2022, Breath of the Wild 2 coming out in 2022, a bunch of other stuff that, like Splatoon 3, Mario's plus Rabbids. Like, a lot of games are seemingly going to be coming out 2022. A lot of big games, but yeah, I mean, I am pretty surprised that this isn't coming out this year because I figured like this would be like a perfect thing for them to put out for Zelda's 35th anniversary, which we'll get to more on that a little bit later. But I mean, that said, like in terms of just like going over like the content of like what was shown in the trailer, everything looks great. I mean, I'm really digging like Link's new William
yeah,
Wallace wild man look. He just has like just straight up untamed hair, like, and kind of looks like he almost is wearing kind of like a kilt type thing, or kind of like like toga tunic thing or whatever. Which I'm like, I'm digging it. It's
yeah,
cool. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of everything we saw. I mean, and I think the rest of the internet is too. This was like trending number one on YouTube for a couple of days. Um, but yeah, I am. I mean, I am a little let down that this is not coming out this year because I was thinking that it would, but you know, here we are.
yeah, yeah. Well, to keep the bummer going, no Switch Pro. So
Yeah.
all those reports from Bloomberg, all the different YouTubers, different articles about this Switch Pro that is seemingly in existence were all complete bunk. Basically, like
Yeah.
this is kind of
I,
insane to me that this many people bought into whatever this information was, including ourselves. Like we were very
yeah.
hopeful that this was going to come out. Personally, I think there still is a Switch Pro on the horizon. Now we didn't hear about it at E3.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not coming out.
Yeah.
Uh, if it's not, congratulations, internet, on getting me to fall for something this big. It might as well been the Dreamcast 2 because
Yeah.
I mean, this could go on in history as one of those things. Like, uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's disappointing. But there's still potentially stuff going to be coming out. I really hate all the YouTubers that hyped the crap out of this for all of us,
Yeah.
where they're pretty much banking on it, telling us, "Oh yeah, it's gonna," and it just they didn't deliver on it. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is like historically, when we have this many leaks and we have this much information coming out about a new Nintendo system, usually that points to like that points to it being real, and not only that, an announcement coming in the near future. So the fact that you know
Yeah,
they got it wrong about you know, either we're going to get a presentation before E3 or at E3 about this, and it was going to be coming out, September or October or something like that, is very surprising. Now, I mean, I am I am confident that this thing does exist here. I was just really surprised that we didn't actually see this actually manifest in some way. Um, yeah, like at E3. Now, my guess, and I was talking to Siebrecht about this, is this could be because Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out 2022. And they they want to pair the launch of the Switch Pro with Breath of the Wild 2. Possibly. So
it's
that
possible. Yeah,
so
yeah,
I mean, so the fact that Breath of the Wild 2 may have been targeted initially for this year, like, internally, like behind closed doors, but then they said, "Hey, we don't want to be the next Cyberpunk. We'll we'll push it back a year, and they said, okay, well, I guess we'll have to push back our new hardware too. So
Yeah. Yep. Something else that kind of surprised me was no Splatoon 3.
yeah,
So really weird because we got a direct with this in it a few months ago,
yeah, that was
and
that
literally
that
nothing on it for this one.
right. And I mean, here's the thing, that was like the big announcement from that direct here, which I mean, there were not
Yeah.
a lot of in that last direct that we had, and
Like we didn't
yeah,
get gameplay. We got nothing.
not even a mention,
Soup.
like not
No,
even
it was
mentioned that
bizarre to be honest.
it was. I mean, unless like they're just wanting to save like an in-depth something or whatever, like at like a Nintendo Direct, like sometime in the fall or something along those lines. I don't know, but yeah, I'm just really surprised we didn't see anything from this game. I figured like we would at least have saw something, you know?
Yeah. No word on a Zelda All Stars, unfortunately. So, but they did release a Zelda Game and Watch,
Yeah,
which you can go. I don't know if you can buy it now or if you can
I
pre-order
think
it now or
I think
what,
you could
but
pre-order. Yeah,
yeah. So they have that, but they did not release any kind of Zelda All Stars, which is unfortunate.
yeah.
Uh, and basically, they said in their little like Zelda spiel that they're not working on any other Zelda games at this time unless it's already done. So
Right. And that's kind of what I'm getting at is like they are not, but they usually hire like third party companies to come in to do their like remasters or whatnot, or or do their ports here, which I mean that can still totally happen just because I feel like, when you had like a pretty big 30th anniversary for or 35th anniversary for Mario last year. You had a fully dedicated direct. You had Mario All Stars. You had a whole bunch of stuff that was like all Mario themed coming and blah blah blah. I feel like why aren't you doing the same for Zelda here? I'd be surprised if they just said, "Oh yeah, we're not actually going to do that here." Be surprising.
yeah, I would too, honestly. But
Yeah.
yeah. So Nintendo has nothing this year for their major titles outside Pokemon and the new Metroid game. What a waste.
Ye-
Like it and it's just tough because like Splatoon's not going to be coming out this year.
nope.
Um, basically, none of their mainline game titles have come out this year.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. It kind of sucks. It's just odd. It's just bizarre that there's no holiday big game other than
Ye-
Pokemon.
adva-
You know,
advance wars here
yeah,
basically, but yeah, I mean, we had a pretty slow year last year with Nintendo. Like the main games that came out from their catalog was Animal Crossing and Mario 3D All Stars and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity or whatever it was called. um
yeah.
and it's one of those things where where you're just kind of
Like
like,
it's been
okay,
2 years without a big title.
well, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, like they can have like, kind of like a softer, maybe off year, every other year, and then like the next year has got to be a banger here or something like that. And we're kind of like, in that soft year territory again here. I mean, granted, we got Metroid, we got Neo, The World Ends with You, we got Zelda Skyward Sword coming out. We got a couple other things that are going to be like some decent heavy hitters, but we're not getting like those big Nintendo titles like those Metroid Prime 4s, those Super Mario
No,
Odysseys 2, Mario Kart 9s,
Mario Kart.
Breath
Yeah,
of the Breath of the Wild 2. We're not getting those this year, unfortunately. Now, next year will probably be a pretty big one, just based on the fact that we're getting Splatoon and hopefully Breath of the Wild 2 alone here. Those are going to be pretty big here. And we got a bunch of other stuff too, like
yeah,
Project Triangle Strategy is coming out 2022. We got like Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope happening. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have the full list in front of me, but there's a lot of stuff that's supposed to be coming in 2022 that just haven't quite um hasn't that yeah, it's good things are on the horizon basically. But just
Yeah.
not for this year for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, there's for me, Hades is one of my favorite games right now.
Yeah. You
And
beat it 9
so Hades
times.
got announced to be coming. What's that?
You beat it 9 times. You got to like it at some point here.
10. 10
10.
times I beat it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so and the reason I even bring this up was because it was announced for PlayStation and Xbox to be coming out this fall, August, I believe. And so I was thinking with that announcement, they might have released some DLC or something else that they're gonna be adding to the game. But this game's unbelievably good. I hope they add more in the future. I hear there's secret bosses when you get up to higher heats in when you after you beat the game the first time. Every time you try to beat the game again, you add a difficulty parameter to it. And so I think one of them is that. But with that being said, I haven't beat that one yet, but I would like a little bit more from this game, or at least you know, it's a little something. It doesn't have to be big, but I thought that would happen with them coming to the other consoles, but we'll see. Maybe something in the future.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I don't follow Super Giants like portfolio like super often in terms of like, like what they do with like DLC for games and all that, but if memory serves me right, I don't think they really do much for things like I don't think they did much for Bastion. I don't think they did much for Transistor. I don't think they did much for Pyre. So if history has shown anything, chances are that you might be out of luck on DLC. I mean, chances are they're probably working on their next game right now, I would imagine.
Probably, yeah. But speaking of Hades, there is a crazy Switch sale happening right now, and Hades is on that. It's $17 instead of the normal $24.99,
Yep.
along with a bunch of other games. To be honest, this is very similar to almost like a Black Friday deal.
Yeah.
At least Nintendo's Black Friday deal. You
Yeah.
got Breath of the Wild, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Paper Mario, all
Mm-hmm.
for $41.99.
Yeah.
You got
Wait.
Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition in there.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal's $29.99. And then if you want to dance, Just Dance 2021,
I don't want to just
1999,
dance.
along with Overwatch Legendary Edition, just talking about
Crossplay.
crossplay and all that stuff. So there's one for you. Octopath Traveler's $41.99, Pikmin
Yeah.
3 as well. There's just a ton of good stuff on here. If you like NBA 2K21's $4.79.
Wow.
That's kind of an insane one. You got Cuphead, Scott Pilgrim. Those are $9 to $15 each. Yeah, it just keeps going on and on. You got Dead Cells in there, $14.99.
Yeah.
Super Bomberman R, $9.99. It
Yeah.
just keeps going and going. So, Mortal Kombat 11, $14.99.
Yeah.
Messengers in there, $9.99. So, if you have a Switch and you don't have those games, go buy them now because
Yeah.
there's a lot of good sales, and we don't really see them for prices under that, especially the mainline titles.
Right, and that's what I was going to get at is if you're kind of sitting there thinking, hey, $40 for like a mainline Nintendo game like Breath of the Wild 2 that's been out for or Breath of the Wild that's been out for years doesn't sound like much of a deal. Trust me, that's as good as it's going to get. They they don't drop
Yeah.
they don't drop really lower than $40. So if you're on the fence about picking some of these $40 games up, you pick them up right now because now's the time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's it for our E3 coverage.
Yeah,
We're
real
going to talk
quick,
a little bit about some other news. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
real quick. So, one thing I forgot to include in the show notes, but this is E3 the return, right? We didn't have one last year.
Yeah.
E3 has kind of been on the ropes for the last couple of years now in terms of its viability. Kind of discussing about all this stuff. I mean, here's the thing. this E3, I would say solid, not great. I mean, it definitely gave me some stuff I was excited about, but I feel like a lot of the games that they were showed, not just from Nintendo side, but also from, Xbox, all the other publishers and all that, most of them are games that we already knew about, or like, they're just showing off more.
Yeah.
And I feel like if E3 is going to
Yeah.
continue to go this route, they need a, I mean, granted, this is going to be more on the publishers and the guys doing the press conferences than it is the organization itself. But if they're going to be, keeping E3 alive, they got to be having banger announcements here and like really like using E3 as the place to say, hey, we're going to be showing off the newest stuff here. We're going to be showing the stuff that you ain't even heard about here.
Yeah. So overall, honestly, for me, and you could put a letter grade to it. What would you grade this E3? You said it was solid, but not amazing. So
Maybe
B.
B minus, maybe. I feel like B
Yeah.
minus might sounds pretty good right now. I mean, I mean, I would,
I
yeah,
think. Yeah, I was
somewhere
gonna
around
say
there.
for me, it's about a C, C plus. So I'm pretty close to where yours is at in
Yeah,
regards to like letter grade. It was solid. It wasn't like it didn't blow me away. It didn't get me super hyped or anything like that. So
yeah,
overall, I'm gonna probably give it like a C, C plus.
yeah.
But let's talk about some other news real quick before we get into our Loki breakdown. Lego Batman 2, it's not happening, guys. Sorry.
Nope.
This is super unfortunate because I love Lego Batman. So, due to rights issue with WB and Lego, not going to be Batman 2. Universal now owns the rights for Lego and will not be able to use Batman in any further movies. So,
Yep.
Will Arnett is out of a job.
Yeah.
Um, so, the sequel would have had Dan Harmon and Michael Waldron, the Loki creator, as writers. It would have shown Batman's relationship with the Justice League and how it's evolved over the years.
Gosh dang it,
Yeah,
Universal, you ruined a beautiful thing here. I mean, you know,
pretty much. This
yeah.
sucks, dude.
I mean, here's the thing: a movie about Lego Batman. You would not expect that movie to actually be that great. It's way better than it has any right that to be in terms of like how good and how funny it is. And yeah, I mean, I was really hoping that we get like a Lego Batman 2 or something like that or something along those lines. But I guess we're gonna get DC Super Pets instead here, which I mean, who knows how that'll turn out.
Yeah, I don't know either, but this does suck, and it's unfortunate that it didn't happen. But let's talk about Loki a little bit, and then we'll get into the roundtable review on it. But it's Disney Plus's biggest premiere yet, which makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Bob Chapek recently said that Loki is their most successful streaming show yet. However, he didn't really go into numbers or anything like that, statistics and how it came to be. He just flat out said, this is the best premiere we've had yet. And to that I say, duh.
Yeah. I mean, this is not much of a surprise because people have been wanting Loki to have like his own movie since the first Avengers. And I definitely like after Thor the Dark World, people were campaigning for that movie even harder. And now that
Yeah.
we basically have like the supplement or like the next best thing here, so it's like, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't this be a big hit?
Right. Well, that's it for our nerd news. We're going to head into a roundtable review. Dorian, let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah, so speaking of Loki, we're going to be talking about more Loki. So we're going to be talking about episode 2. We're going to be spoiling it. If you watched it, great, be
Nope.
a part of the conversation. If not, skip ahead, do whatever you need to do. So all right, so we're going to be talking about episode 2. So this is kind of going springboarding off of like what we saw in episode 1. So they're tracking down the other Loki variant right now. And so you're getting a scene where they're in the 80s, there's a Renaissance fair. You're kind of seeing a little bit more of this variant Loki's powers. This Loki is able to essentially possess people and use them to fight.
Yeah.
And
Mind
you know,
control. Yeah.
you also get more more time with like Loki and more Mobius and like their relationship and like how that's changing, evolving, and like what like the trust thing is looking like. Loki is finding finds out where or figures out where the variant's been hiding, and it's basically like these catastrophe events like Pompeii or like things where like if you were to disrupt the timeline, there's it's not going to matter because like everything and everyone gets wiped out from like some sort of event here, like a volcano erupting, a hurricane, an asteroid hitting a certain place, or a nuke or whatever here. So
Ragnarok.
yeah, Ragnarok. So basically all these things uh are where this variant is hiding out and been able to evade the TVA for so long here. So they figure out, okay, which one is the variant hiding out in? And it turns out it's in the year 2050 in the future. I think it's Alabama, and there's like uh there's going to be a hurricane that's about to hit, and it's
Hurricane or
going to
something.
yeah, and it's going to wipe out pretty much any witnesses or any environment that you would disrupt the timeline or like make any variations to the timeline in. So um so Loki finds the variant, and so far when he first finds the variant, it's the variant is using different people to talk to him, like using the possessions ability to do that here. And then you get the reveal of like what this Loki looks like. And so far this Loki has been wearing a hood the whole time, hasn't been showing uh you know uh its face and whatnot. And turns out this Loki is a woman. It's a female Loki, Lady Loki.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. That's kind of like the big reveal at the end of the episode is that this Loki is not how I thought it was just gonna be another Tom Hiddleston, but it's not.
yeah. Well, and here's the thing is like while watching this, I figured like, okay, like so we know this is another Loki, and but they're still not showing.
Hiding.
Yeah, they're still not showing
Yeah.
his face. This can't just be another Tom Hiddleston here. And for a minute, I thought like, what if this was like Chris Hemsworth as a variation of Loki or something weird like
That
that
would
or
be funny.
whatever? That would have been funny. But yeah, so
Yeah.
so the reason why they didn't show it is because this Loki is female. This variation of Loki is female. And then the episode basically ends with this female Loki taking like all the TVA equipment, so like the time reset charges and like these the time doors that the TVA uses. She sets off a bunch of time reset bombs and sends them to a bunch of different times, which is like from what we understand, creating like a whole bunch of like branching timelines now here. It's like making it like completely crazy over at the TVA side of things here. And so and Loki ends up chasing after this variant or joining. It's kind of hard to say like what exactly is going on at that
We're
point in time.
unsure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it does seem like he is betraying the TVA, which who figured. But yeah, so I
Surprise,
mean,
surprise.
surprise, surprise. So that's pretty much where the episode ends up here.
Yeah, and I really liked this episode. I thought it was super good.
Yeah,
The biggest question I have is the female Loki actually Loki?
yeah,
Because some people are saying this could be Enchantress,
yeah,
similar powers to Loki in that she could disguise herself. And it was interesting because before they revealed Loki, they zoomed in on the green like hands that they had with the magic, and that is Enchantress's kind of look. She has like the green magic and stuff like that.
yeah,
And, so it's possible an Enchantress is a villain of Thor's, and Loki has his runs in with her as well. So it's
yeah,
very well it could be, they're saying it's a variant of Loki, but it could be an Enchantress, or they're kind of weaving two characters together, and eventually this variant might become Enchantress.
Yeah.
or be revealed as someone because the variant also said don't call me that, don't call me Loki, basically, which is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it
So that's
is.
why I'm kind of leaning towards it's not probably Loki, it's someone else.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't have much else to say about this other than they're going in a great direction, and it feels like a movie every time you watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, and one of the things that I found interesting about this episode, something I failed to mention earlier when we were breaking down like the details of it, is they talked about how Loki has been essentially a variant in
Yeah,
multiple
for a
circumstances
long
here.
time.
There's like this is
Yeah,
not just the first go around. So I found that interesting. That might be hinting towards something else. And also I'm starting to think that those timekeepers they may not be real, or at least they're not hyped up to be, you know, the omnipotent beings that the TVA has
no,
been hyping up to be, because I feel like, you know, the
yeah,
way things are going right now, the fact that we're not seeing them, that we have like a lot of questions about them that aren't, you know, just straight up being answered or something like that, leads me to believe that there's something more going on there, and that there's some sort of farce or
I agree.
facade going on. Um, I would say the one thing I didn't like about this episode was Loki's fight with Lady Loki. Lady Loki possessed like basically this big redneck dude, and was fighting Loki that way, which I'm like, and he was just like throwing Loki around like a rag doll. I'm like thinking, okay, this seems kind of like a lame fight for like
You
essentially
fought the Avengers, dude.
a Norse god to have here, just getting thrown around by some
Yeah,
redneck dude in Walmart here, you know. But whatever. I mean, that's kind of just a
right.
minor. That's more of a minor gripe than anything. But honestly, yeah, I like this episode. I like, you know, the direction it's going. I'm interested to see more.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but next on our list, so we are going to be talking about Griftlands. So this is a new game. Um, that did this just come out, or has it been out?
Yeah. No, I think it just came out like a week
Okay,
ago or so.
okay. So
Maybe
this
2
is
weeks, I don't know.
okay. So this is something you've played. I haven't. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so this is a game actually, I think it was in that direct where it didn't that we hated basically, where when we were talking about it, you're like, "Hey, this seems like a game for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think it will be." So, I was hyped for this a couple months back. I honestly forgot it was coming out. Like, I just happened to see it and I was like, "Oh, 50, or I think it was like $14 or something." I was like, "Oh, that's reasonable for sure." So I picked it up. So, I love games like Slay the Spire. So if you're a fan of a deck building game like this, you're going to be a huge fan of this game. It's a mix of kind of an RPG meets deck builder meets like a roguelite, similar to Slay the Spire. I would consider that a roguelite. Excuse me, I
Yeah,
gotta sneeze. That was very delayed.
yeah, it
But
was.
yeah, so it does all three genres really, really well, in my opinion.
Okay.
There's two different types of battling. There's the actual turn-based battle with like your deck and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's a conversation slash persuade method you can choose to take. So these are all when you're having conversations, you can choose to do either one of these, and it's going to kind of change how the game or that run is played for you. So you can be like a really hyper aggressive player and just do combat whenever you want, or mix it up and try to persuade them and not kill them, basically. So you go through like these dialogues with people. So there's like and you kind of upgrade your deck, you upgrade different perks you have and stuff like that. But yeah, there's two different kinds of battling. They're done very similarly. There's two different decks. So you have like your action deck, your battle deck, then you have your conversation deck. So you're basically trying to get cards that help you win the argument or try to um, calm people down or something like that. So I'm not super deep into this game, but I have unlocked all three playable characters and have played with their decks. Each character plays completely differently, has their own unique story. The goal of the game is to play through 5 days essentially. I've made it to four and then I died. Basically each day typically concludes in a boss fight. Before that, you're going on different missions, trying to build up your deck, do that sort of thing. Very similar to Slay the Spire. We're trying to do all these little smaller battles to get to the big battle, beat the boss, move on to the next area. And so I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I don't like and what I like. So what I don't like, sometimes the dialogue is just too much. Like there's just a lot of it, and I just want to hop into another battle. So there's that that's typical with RPGs. Sometimes there's these long dialogue conversations. Like I just want to fight. Like
Yeah.
so it can get annoying that way. And what I like, pretty much everything else. Like it's really cool. The art's really sweet. The game's just fun. So I recommend it to anyone who likes the deck building sort of game. So yeah. But that's it, you guys. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. Check us out on all our social medias, YouTube. Give us a like, leave a review on your favorite podcast or place to get podcasts. Have an awesome week, and remember, everyone's a nerd about something.